once again today. I'm just going to run through something referred to as the law of diminishing returns and how that applies to fitness, or for the human body in general as well, with training. So I've got a basic graph here set up with training history that's consistent, put against the response from your training. So early on when you're a beginner, you don't need a lot of output to get quite a substantial response from your training. So that's B for beginner. So early on you'll get, central nervous system adaptations, you'll gain weight, so you'll put on muscle, lose fat early on in your training history. But as you get closer towards your genetic potential, there will be a tapering off. So we use that as our genetic potential. So as you get further through your training age, your training history, as you get closer towards the upper limits of that, more is not necessarily better. There will become a limit in your training where you might start off training 3 days a week, 4, 5, 6, 7 days a week. You'll get to a certain point where more is not necessarily better, and generally by then your body's become more efficient and won't need long sessions to get the job done. Especially as your central nervous system becomes a lot more efficient, can actually fire and get more motor units, and then thus contract more muscle fibres and so forth. So with that, this can be both over the long term and the short term period. So there's going to be an ultimate or the recommended amount of output or the amount of training. So whether it's increases in frequency, increases in intensity, increases in volume, there will become a limit depending on the individual that you'll gain the most response. Will get the most bang for your buck. More is not better. So with that in mind, looking over a short period, there will be that ultimate amount of output in your training. Oops, body not straight. That will get the response that you're after. So increasing it more, so doing more volume, more intensity or more frequency, any one of those. Doing more, we'll get a diminished return on your investment. As you can see, so sometimes it's worth just backing it off a notch and allowing your body to adapt to that stimulus, and then hopefully your body adapts, and then you can make further changes in your programming to make further gains. Okay, so with these three main factors, so your training, nutrition and recovery, you want to try and tick all three and nail them on the head. With training, a lot of times you can be doing a program that isn't that good, but if your nutrition and recovery is spot on, you'll still make gains. It's just good if you can try to do all three. So with the law of diminishing returns in mind again, with those three, there's going to be an upper limit. So once again, with your training, more is not necessarily better. So you want to find that correct amount of output to get your optimal amount of response and return on your investment. Same with nutrition. You can always try to eat more to recover, but then if you're eating too much, you're going to put on adipose tissue, you're going to put on fat, and get fat basically, which you don't want. So there's also going to be that ultimate limit. And then also goes with all your macronutrients as well. There's going to be only so much you can assimilate, actually put into your body. Especially with protein as well. There's going to be a limit. Depends on your sport, depends on the individual. But you don't want to be chucking down shitloads of protein shakes because you're just going to be shitting it out basically and farting all day. So with the recovery, there is a limit to that as well, believe it or not. So too much sleep isn't good as well, but you're going to want to try and find that limit. So generally, try to get 8 hours of sleep. Try to do your warming up, cooling down. Whether you do some foam rolling, some self-myofascial release, or you get a massage as part of your recovery program. They're going to all work synergistically together to reach your ultimate goal. So, with that, so you could say over the long haul, that's your genetic limit, or that could be your goal in the short-term period to try and reach. Now, this process, once again, isn't going to be linear. It's going to be undulating. So you're going to have ups and downs over that time. So there's going to be periods where you're going to be up and down as you eventually reach your goal. Oh, that was a bit skewy. So hopefully over that time, when you track those, hopefully you'll reach your goal. You just have to be willing to experience those down periods as well, because that's just how the body works. You can't can't continuously improve. Your body's going to need time to recover and adapt and so forth. So I guess another example of that would be a typical sort of linear progression, or depending how you structure your programming, whether it's a variation of intensity or volume, moving frequency. There's going to be periods where you're going to step up your programming. So I could be over a 3-week period, increasing intensity. So it could be week 1 could be 3 sets of 8, week 2 3 sets of 5, and then the third week could be working up to a 2 rep max or something like that, and then the 4th week you're going to back it right off, and then do 3 sets of 12 or something, whatever it is. That's just an example, and that's going to be up and down, 3 weeks on, 1 week recovery, and that's your sort of programming structure, very roughly. But you get my point. It's eventually working to your goal. You just have to put up with those low periods over time, allowing the body to adapt to the stress you put it under. So I hope that helps, guys. That's a very basic run through of that process, but I guess the take-home message is that more is not necessarily better. There is an upper limit, and back towards genetic potential. That's why people will resort to taking performance-enhancing drugs. Sometimes they'll use it to help them get to the genetic potential quicker, even though it's not really genetic if they're taking performance-enhancing drugs. But that will obviously back towards the other one. That will obviously shift their genetic potential. So once the genetic potential would be that, by taking performance-enhancing drugs, So they took it somewhere around here or something, they might shift it a bit higher with those drugs. But once again, there will become an upper limit with drugs as well, but we won't go into that. So I hope that helps, guys. Don't be too scared about the genetic potential. Not many people actually reach it, especially in today's society with a lot of stresses. But just keep in mind, try to work on those things, your training, nutrition, your recovery, and try to get those things spot on. And hopefully you will reach your genetic potential. So guys, thanks for that. Catch you next time. Peace.